Dum. Hello, burger posting. It's good to see you today. I'm glad that you could help me with this crazy thing that I'm doing today. Oh boy! All right, this is pretty wild. I don't think I've had this much into one of these before, so hopefully this turns out okay. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer before I start talking about microphones and other boring stuff, but oh boy, this is gonna be an interesting one. This is gonna be a long one. I feel like because this might be the whole stream of me doing this, uh, just talking about mics and stuff. So hopefully it goes well. Hopefully it goes amazing. I would hope. But hey, who can tell? Who can tell? Oh boy. Hello, everybody that's able to make it in. I'm looking at Twitch chat. I can see Twitch chat today. I know. You guys are not excluded. I know. It's a new thing. Today. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys about some stuff that I'm really passionate about. Hello, Lily. It's good to see you in here. Hi. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come join me talk about some nerd shit. Oh boy. So, everybody that is here right now. Whoa, Kyo can finally see Twitch. Yeah, I know. That's crazy, Caffeine. But today we're going to be talking about microphones and audio setups. Now, before I get into all of this, there are a few terms that I want to let you guys know about. I don't have any cue cards. I'm doing this right off the top of my head. I do feel like this is a discussion that is kind of like highly debated for some people. Some people really care about audio. Some people don't care about audio. They just want something that works. At the end of the day, I want to let you guys know this. Whatever audio setup that you have, make sure it's fit for your specific requirements. Use it for your use case and nobody else's. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. As long as you're the person that's happy with your equipment, that is all that matters. Do not let anybody put you down because you don't have so-and-so microphone. Don't let somebody let you down, put you down because of this or that. It's your equipment. If it's what you have or what you can have, like what you can use at the very moment, that is all that matters. As long as you are the person that is happy with it, that is what matters. So, with that out of the way, I have a few terms I need to talk to you guys about. First one, everybody's kind of used to this. USB. Everybody knows what USB is. It's fantastic, right? USB charges your phones, it charges other electronics, it can also power microphones. Crazy. I know. And there are USB microphones. Now, the next term I'm about to tell you guys is called XLR. What is XLR? Well, I don't know the. Listen, I'm teaching you guys stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what XLR stands for because I don't know. I know that it's a cable that is normally used for a lot of audio equipment for speakers and other things like that. That's my biggest scientific way of saying this shit. But XLR microphones are normally these thicker cords with 3 prongs in them. I will, because I'm recording this for a YouTube video as well, I have a picture that I'm going to be bringing up. I'm going to be scrolling around through it, but it's basically just an audio cable with 3 prongs in it. And there's also a female end that you can plug into it. It's basically just an audio cable. It's plug and play to an audio interface. What's an audio interface? That's another term we'll get into in a second. But an XLR, weird ass cable. Best way to explain it. That's for high quality recording microphones or low, it depends on the microphone you get, really. But you use it for normally better audio quality. And normally the microphones that are XLR are cheaper than the USB microphones. Okay, so before we go any further, the thing that I want to let you guys know is you have to figure out something for microphones. Do you want an XLR or do you want a USB? Do you want something that has both use cases? These are questions you need to ask yourself on a daily, before you even think about making the purchase. These are things that you have to think about. Because what would you use the microphone for? Do you have multiple use cases you want to use them for? These are very important steps for being a person that purchases an audio equipment piece of device, because if you just purchase it without doing any research and you realize it's not the right equipment that you need, then you will be the one that is sorely mistaken and you will pay the financial burden of your decisions. Basically, you're gonna reap what you sow, motherfucker. That's pretty much what it means. So, what does this mean? Okay. An XLR and USB. USB is exactly what it sounds like. These are microphones that have these things called preamps built inside of the microphones. USB microphones are not bad. Lavender, thank you so much for joining into stream. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. But USB microphones are not bad. There are a lot of USB microphones that are bad, but there are really good USB microphones if you're able to find them. There are XLR microphones, which people normally get XLR for the better audio quality, and also makes your microphones themselves, that's the key word, themselves, and I'll get into that later, cheaper. So, for the different use case scenarios, we have either people that are going to be mainly on computer, right? That's awesome. But some of you are probably wondering, well, how are people able to use these types of recording microphones onto their phones? Okay, that's a good question, because there's a bunch of dongles and a bunch of cords you can plug into it. So, what this means, and I'm trying to wrap this all around here as a big bow tie, big gift, big present of knowledge for you guys. You have to make a decision whether or not you want an XLR or USB microphone, because that depends on how it's going to connect for your different use cases for it. Because a USB microphone, depending on whichever microphone you get, can plug in straight into your phone, can plug in directly into your computer. It's plug and play, good to go. You can reuse it. But 9 times out of 10, USB microphones, from my experience, tend to wear out a lot quicker and die off a lot faster than XLR microphones. That is the downside for it. That's why I'm bringing this to a lot of people's attentions right now. Because the USB microphone, you may buy it and it may last you 1 or 2 years. Some of you might think that's good enough. That's however long I need the microphone for, then I could buy another microphone. Some people want to make one purchase and have it last for a very long time. And this is where you have to think about weigh your options for what you're buying. Okay, so for what I have, because for USB microphones, anything that comes from a reputable name is normally going to be a pretty decent microphone. There are some that I have on here that I've seen recently that are USB microphones that I wasn't even aware of until searching it up before this stream. I'm gonna tab out away from Twitch chat for 1 second so I can pull some of these tabs and refresh them for a moment so that way I could see them. Apparently they unloaded on me. That pause. Ayo, no diddy. But there are good USB microphones that you can use. There are one of the better ones, and this is more on the high end for USB microphones, is going to be something that I've heard people swear upon whenever they got it. I've recommended this to a few of my friends and stuff like that. It is a Samsung G-Track Pro. I don't recommend Blue Yeti, and this is from my own personal bias. I'm not a big fan of the sound. Obviously, it doesn't matter as long as you're the person that likes your equipment. You can get whatever you want. It doesn't matter what anybody says. I'm just letting you guys know and being transparent. I'm not a big fan of Blue Yetis, but Blue Yetis are normally the big standard for YouTube. You see everybody have like a Blue Yeti and record right off of it because it's directly plug and play. Now, how these USB microphones work is because they have a preamp inside of them. The cord, whenever you plug it into the computer, is like, all right, so it goes from the microphone that you talk into, and it has a preamp. The preamp converts your raw vocal data into digital data and sends it to a computer. That's what the preamp inside of the microphone does. And that's normally why USB microphones are more expensive. It's not a crazy thing for me to say that because it's normally true. If you look at a microphone and then you see the USB variant of it, normally the USB variant is going to be more expensive. Panda Time, thank you for joining into the stream. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come join in. Hi, hi. But that's normally the case. You can always end up getting, and this is one of the examples that I can think of right off the top of my head. Thank you for the pink pen light, Panda. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Faye. Thank you for joining in. So, one of the biggest case scenarios for this, and I can actually tell you guys right off the top of my head, is the USB to XLR prices for both the Audio Technica AT2020. This is another very big microphone brand that a lot of YouTubers use on the daily. Thank you, Faye. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, hi. Thank you for the Oshi. But an Audio Technica AT2020 is normally a microphone that a lot of people end up using for this sort of like content creation, recording music. And the USB variant is always going to be more than the XLR variant. Why is this? Because the XLR version does not have a preamp built inside of the microphone. The USB variant is always going to be more expensive because of that. Just keep that in mind. So when I bring up these USB prices, just remember they're a little bit higher than a lot of XLR microphones because they're USB. So a Samson G-Track Pro runs around the same price as a Blue Yeti. I personally think that the Samson G-Track Pro sounds a little bit better USB-wise. It is about $106. I'm looking at Amazon right now for price comparisons. There is also other USB microphones that are USB as well. One that I could think of right now that's cheaper than that is a USB microphone is a Samson CO1U. It's a recording microphone. Samson is a very good brand name. It's been around for a very long while. Samson is very reputable, very good brand. The USB microphone for the CO1U is $48. Now, a lot of this pricing can sound very, very, very pricey. And it can. When it comes to audio equipment, it can jump up by a flip of a dime. Drop of a hat, boom. Prices skyrocket, fluctuate all over the place. So, if you're not wanting something that's complicated and you're just wanting to go off of a cheap microphone, that's fine. That's great. That's great. That's your use case for it. Wonderful. You don't have to spend buco's amount of money to get the setup that you need for your everyday driver. I'm just saying this right now. You can always find alternatives and other ways to find this. So now that leads me to the more confusing side. After USB microphones to XLR microphones. Why are XLR microphones more cheaper? Why are they cheaper than USB microphones? Like I said before, it was because the USB variants have the preamp built inside of it. A preamp for XLR microphones are normally external. What does this mean? All right, so you have your microphone. You plug in the XLR cable into the microphone. Wonderful. And then you plug that microphone into a box. This box is called an audio interface. It converts your raw vocal data into digital data and sends it into the computer. It acts as the middleman from the microphone. So the USB, where it has a smaller preamp and it just shoots it directly into it, like quick plug and play, that's the normal way that microphones end up for USB wise converting it really quickly because it has the preamp built into it. XLRs, the reason why the XLR microphones are so cheap is because it doesn't have that built into it. You just plug it into the audio interface and then the audio interface converts that data into your computer for the recording. So in this case, and some of you are probably saying, oh great, well how expensive are these audio interfaces? I'm glad that you asked. So they used to be back in the day, the very bare minimum price was always $30 back in the day. Now, with how technology has advanced for XLR microphones, I've literally found one online for $20. That you don't need an expensive audio interface to have XLR. For the same price of buying the same price as buying a USB variant of a microphone, you could also have the same exact setup that is XLR. Will it last you the longest amount of time? Granted, probably not, because there's only so much a $20 piece of equipment can get you. The more that you spend on something, the more higher quality it's obviously going to be, the longer it's going to last for you. This is true for anything you get. I know I'm being super serious. I'm being all teachy and stuff, but I really like audio. So there is an audio interface that I'm looking at right now, and it's called, and I know this is the most original name for it, Gaming Audio Mixer Streaming RGB Mixer with XLR Microphone Interface, Individual Control, Volume Fader, 48-volt Phantom Power for podcast recording. It's a very original name, definitely not a mouthful, but it's $20. It is $20. Okay? It is $20, and it runs basically, it can run basically any XLR microphone decently. And it's a $20 piece of equipment. I mean, I'm just saying this as something to keep you guys, to let you guys know. Like, that's pretty crazy. And the reason I'm going to bring up a microphone from beforehand, because I'm going to give you an idea of why some people want to go XLR compared to USB. So, because some of you are probably wondering, well, USB is plug and play. That should be easier. That should be gosh darn easier, man. I don't want to deal with all this other complicated shit. Correct. A lot of people don't want to do that. If that's your use case and you just don't want to bother with it, that's perfectly fine. If you're more concerned about getting a little bit better audio quality, you want that little bit more higher end production. If you're doing stuff like voice acting, singing, XLR is normally the better way to go 9 times out of 10. It's not always the main way you got to go. That's just normally how it goes. To give you an idea, the USB version of the Samson CO1U, the microphone that I told you about, was $48.60. I found the same exact microphone, the XLR version. It's only a few dollars difference. I know it's not the biggest difference in the world for it, but it is. I think it's like a $10 difference. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. An ad popped up on there for some reason. It's a $10 difference, but it's $39 for the XLR variant. Why would you want the XLR variant and pay another $20? You're paying $10 more, right? I can do math. Why would you pay $10 more for the same exact setup when the USB variant is plug and play? True, you could get the USB and it will work around there and it just be plug and play, could have the similar audio quality, but the same reason why you can get the XLR quality, which is a little bit better than it, and the audio interface is always going to be the same audio interface. So if your USB microphone craps out on you, you're donezo. That's it. Your whole audio setup is done. It's finito. That's the downside of having a USB microphone, right? You get an XLR microphone. Oh shit, something happened to my setup. Test the microphone works good. XLR cable's broken. That's an $8 fix for you. XLR cables are not that expensive. XLR cable, replace the XLR cable. Microphone's fucked up. Oh, damn, you gotta replace the microphone. So instead of paying another $40, $48 for a replacement USB microphone, you could just pay another $39 for something that got messed up. These are different things that you also got to think of when it comes to this. And whenever you decide to upgrade your equipment, if you upgrade it, say you went from the Samson CO1, which is like a $39 microphone. If you decided to go with an AT Technica 2020, run a $100 XLR microphone for the XLR version of the AT 2020, guess what? All you have to do is unplug the microphone from the Samson, put the new microphone in there. Works perfectly fine. And you also saved yourself 20 or 10 or 20 bucks just off of just having the setup for XLR already there. That's why some people like XLR a little bit more as well. The price of entry for XLR is a little bit more than USB, but in the long run, when you're buying multiple microphones and you're wanting to upgrade along the road, XLR is normally the better case. That's not always the case, but that's normally the better case. Now, I'm biased because I use an XLR microphone and I have a pretty expensive one. I'm not going to hide this from you guys. I have a very expensive XLR microphone. Whoop-de-doo, whatever. why would you want to why would you want to take advice from me, from somebody who's got an expensive microphone? Because I've had a lot of microphones. I've had a lot of microphones. I've had a live performance microphone that is the Shure PG48, which is a live performance microphone that I used for recording very early on. I have a MXL 990. I've had a Blue Yeti, regrettably, that died on me very quickly. I've had the Blue Snowball USB microphone. I have an MXL 990. I'm just giving you guys my qualifications here to let you guys know. I'm not just saying this to just pull it out of my butt. I do have experience working with other microphones. So when I talk about this Samson CO1, I've had it. I have it on my desk right now. I'm not using it because my phone's setup is kind of broken for the charger port for it, so I can't use my setup for it. But I have the Samson CO1, the XLR version, on my desk right now. I am using a very expensive microphone, and I'll get into that later, but it's not needed to have your preferred setup. It's as simple as audio interface, XLR cable, microphone. USB microphone, even simpler. Microphone, plug-in microphone. And that's normally what you can do with. Now, some of you are probably wondering, because a lot of these XLR microphones don't automatically just plug into your phone. And you're right, they don't. They do make specific audio interfaces for phones in particular. The one that I use, and there's also XLR audio mixers that work for both computer and phone, but I use two different things. I use an audio interface for my computer, and then I use a different audio interface for my phone. The one that I use for my phone is called the iRig Pre 2. It takes two AA batteries in the back of it. You plug in your XLR cable into it. It powers your microphone. And then it has an audio jack that you can hook into an adapter, plug into your phone. Works perfectly fine. That's normally how I do these streams. That's how I do it because that's the best use case scenario for me. I'm not going to realistically have my mobile phone set up 24/7. I'm not going to leave it here and, keep it like how it is right now. So I always end up moving it around, and, it doesn't make sense to always have it plugged in. There are a 2-for-1s that are audio interfaces that work with both computer and phone. Some of them, a lot of the Nexas talent that a couple of Nexas talents I know uses them. I'm not going to say any names because that, I don't know. I just guess I don't feel comfortable saying it. I don't think they would mind, but also at the same time, I don't know. There's these Miano podcaster mixers. These ones have XLR plugins for them. You can plug them into your computer, but they also have Bluetooth in it. So you can hook up your XLR microphone to Bluetooth. Granted, Bluetooth can deteriorate the quality of it, but it's still an option, and you can still do it through your very high quality microphone or whatever quality microphone you do have. You can also get a audio cable and plug it into your phone as well, and that works the same exact way for this specific one. Now, everybody's use case is going to be different. I implore you to do your own knowledge on the things that you want to get. Like, do you want an XLR microphone? Do you want a USB microphone? What kind of sound are you wanting out of it? And one of the best people that I find on a daily basis to refer to on YouTube for any of this sort of stuff is this YouTuber named Podcastage. I would highly recommend him as a resource for different types of microphones you guys might be interested, or audio equipment you might be interested. He has literally reviewed almost every single XLR microphone that I could possibly think of in his YouTube channel. He's been doing this for over 10 years now. I'm not even joking. This man is wild. He is a machine for audio equipment, and I don't even hold a candle compared to this dude. But he is a resource that is openly free. You can watch on YouTube, and you can learn more about audio equipment on the daily basis. And he's just a really good resource for what you're wanting and how you want it to be set up. Now, I have a few recommendations. Now, these recommendations are just what they are. Exactly as I said it, recommendations. Do not get these expecting them to work immediately. They may not work with your use case scenario. That's why I say do your own research. But these are the best beginner setups that I could possibly think of for people just wanting to start off for XLR or USB. If you're starting off with a USB microphone, I implore you to please take 2 seconds. And this is me being very, very, very biased when I say this. Do not get a blue snowball. Please think about this before you get a blue snowball. If you get a blue snowball, you can get a microphone that has 2 times the audio quality for literally $2 cheaper. And that's weird to think about. Because normally a blue snowball runs about $50 to $60 depending on the time of year because there's always sales. A Samson CO1, which is a USB microphone as well, runs at $48. Literally, it's a actual microphone compared to the blue snowball, which it is fine for what it is. I'm just very biased when it comes to that specific product because I have used it in the past. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Just keep that in mind. Now, once you figure out what use case you want, once you figure out what all the equipment that you're going to need for your specific setup, everything that you do need, for instance, and I'm going to give you a few examples of the things that you might need to buy. And I know this is going to sound very confusing when I say all of this, but if you have audio equipment and you hear me say these things, you're probably going to be like, oh my God, yes, I had to go through that. I had to buy this. It is for USB microphones. You normally, first thing you get the microphone, it comes with a stand, right? First thing you normally upgrade is, oh, well, maybe I don't like the stand. You get the desk clamp stand to look more like the professional YouTubers, have it clamped onto your desk. Awesome, great, amazing, right? Those are little expenses that make your life a little bit easier, makes you enjoy your product a little bit more. That's what I'm trying to get at. Those are little luxury items, the extra bits. You know what I mean? So, for instance, normally for a USB microphone, and this is kind of general for other microphones as well, but this is just for me listing off just the USB microphone for right now. You would get a microphone stand, a pop filter, and you normally would be pretty set. Maybe if you want to get really fancy, a shock mount for it. A shock mount is a microphone stand where you screw your microphone into it. It's held on together with these elastic bands. And when you knock into your microphone, you don't hear the noise whenever you accidentally bump into the microphone. That's what it does. It absorbs that impact and makes sure that it doesn't pick up in your audio quality. Now, is it needed? No. Is it really nice to have? Yes. Because I don't know about you guys, but I manhandle mine like I'm in a live concert, even though I'm not, or I keep moving it every 2 fucking seconds. And I'll be perfectly honest, it's normally not a good habit to have for microphones. What am I using right now on AniLive? Glad that you asked. I'm using the phone microphone right now. Literally just the phone microphone. Sometimes you don't need to have a fancy setup. For phone streaming, all you really need is a phone with a decent microphone. That's normally what gets you along the way for mobile streaming. If you were wanting a little bit better audio, or if you wanted to sound really professional and you want to go the extra 9 yards with it, the whole thing, like, yeah, you could end up finding a setup that could work into it and plug into your phone and all that crazy stuff. But sometimes you don't have to be very complicated. I had a teacher that had this acronym, and it made me laugh every fucking time when he said it. It was called KISS. It was an acronym that sent, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. And I have thought about that every single time when I look at the stuff that I get, right? Sometimes you overthink it. Maybe you get too much and then you realize, oh, well, I only needed this. And it's very easy to have that happen. So now that we got that out of the way, I will go over some of the recommendations that I do have for USB microphones. USB microphones that I could think of right off the top of my head that would be really good for beginners, especially for the price point. The Samson CO1U. It's a USB microphone. It's $40. It's a couple dollars cheaper than getting a Blue Snowball. It sounds pretty good for the price. Comes with a carrying case. It comes with a lot of benefits, and it feels like it's compact, like it's about to strike down a drone from 20 feet above the sky. So it's got a pretty solid build quality to it. Thing looks like it's built like a torpedo, pretty much. 4 years old, and I haven't had a single issue with it. That's wild to think about. That's wild. Granted, mine's the XLR version, but the USB version, it's made out of the same quality stuff, except it has a USB port on the bottom. Literally, the only thing that could break on it is the USB port on the bottom of it. So, as long as you don't, like, swing it around like it's a battle axe, or you swing it around by the cord like you're about to attack an intruder when they come into your room, I think you'll be fine with it. I think you'll be good. I think you'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. Thank you for liking stream, by the way. Burger posting, I appreciate it. Thank you. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I feel like there's a misconception about audio equipment. Why people want to get audio equipment. A lot of people want to get audio equipment to sound better. Some people want to get it to sound more professional. Some people want to get it just to flex on other people. I don't recommend that because it never ends up well. But hey, each to their own. Each to their own. And there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. Well, actually, there's a little bit wrong with that. But hey, I don't condone it. All right. The ones that I would always recommend is the Samson CO1U, the Samson G Track Pro, and I know I have two Samson products, but you could also get the Audio Technica AT2020, which is more of an expensive one. It's a $100 USB microphone. You could always get an Audio Technica ATR 2500X. It's a USB microphone, and it's $67.95. It's very easy. There's some other microphones that you would be surprised that the price of change between them are. Now, some of the audio equipment is all over the place. Prices fluctuate on this stuff, and it's not very easy to follow around with it. Sometimes it'll make you a little angry and make you upset. But, it just depends on what you want. For example, prices fluctuate on microphones all the time, especially when it comes to the holidays, because what if somebody wants to become a musician, somebody wants to become a voice actor or something like that in the middle of Christmas? They make Christmas deals to make them cheaper and sell them more. And, I'm not going to get into the whole dichotomy of how how money works, because I'm just a stupid VTuber that knows a little bit about audio equipment. So it's all up to you guys on that part. But some audio interfaces. The next thing I'm going to talk about is audio interfaces. Audio interfaces don't have to be expensive. Like I said, there's a $20 one. It's bare basic. It's not really the best thing in the whole wide world. Plugs into your computer. You could probably find a way to plug it into your phone if you found a way. It's $20. Gets you an XLR setup. Pretty dang dog diggity awesome, right? Well, there are some other ones that are able to do both of them, like I said, and it just makes it more versatile. It's like having a Swiss blade on you, it's like having a spork with you at all times. Like you're ready for any occasion. You're ready to snack on whatever you want. And nothing's going to stop you at all. So, XLR microphones. This is the big kahuna. This is where people start going overboard. This is where people really want to spend their money and they just start throwing it at the screen like they don't have a care in the world. Perfectly fine. You can do that. I don't recommend it because I like doing a lot more research on my stuff before I just start doing it. But, not everybody likes to do that. There's nothing, it's just everybody's preference. XLR microphones are very, very, very weird because there are a lot of decently good ones that are just as good as the expensive brands. I am going to tell you the one that I use. It is a $300 microphone. It took me multiple years to save up for it. I was eyeballing this microphone for a very good while. It's still not the ideal microphone I want to get. I'm pretty basic when it comes to microphones in my own words, in my own thought process as well. I'm very basic when it comes to it. But the microphone that I have right now is a Lewitt 440 Pure. It is a XLR microphone that is around $279, something like that. It is a recording microphone. You could use it for basically whatever use case that you have in mind for it. It runs it pretty well. I've had it for about 2 years now. Haven't had a single issue with it, and it's probably one of my favorite purchases, other than my mic boom arm, that I've made in probably the past few years. I'll be perfectly honest. It's pretty nice. But that was for my use case for it. It may not be somebody else's use case. Like they may not want a $300 microphone for something that they're just going to play Call of Duty on for the next, 30 days. Maybe they just want something for just podcasting or something like that. Well, there's other microphones out there for you. There's a Samsung QU9, I believe, or Q9. That one's a dynamic microphone. You get that one. It works perfectly fine. It's a USB and XLR. And whenever you do run that into it, it's good for podcasting. It's decent for it. It's like $100 microphone as well. And I mean, it's hit or miss with some of them. But like I said, always do your own research when it comes to microphones and everything. No, thank you so much for joining into stream. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come join in. Hi, thank you, thank you. But yeah, so it's always up to your own discretion when it comes to it. XLR microphones are very strange because some of the higher named brands, the Shure SM7B, that's the one that a lot of microphones podcasters use. Those are $599 microphones from Shure, and I don't know about you, they're a little too pricey for me. I might spend $300, but $600 is like two of my microphones. I've got a decent mic. It's a HyperX Quadcast, so I get you. And there's nothing wrong with that. USB microphones are pretty decent nowadays, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's pros and cons to every setup. If you have a USB setup, there's downsides to it. If you have an XLR setup, there's a downside for it. As long as you use it for your use case and what you need for it, that's all that matters at the end of the day. These are just giving resources to people who are basically interested in it. But XLR, I personally prefer it because I feel like I get a little bit better audio quality out of my microphones, even if it's just a little bit more. USB microphones, it's completely fine, but in my personal opinion, it gets to a certain point where a lot of these microphones have that like artificial peaking noise where they have a limiter and it sounds very digitally in the background a little bit when you start talking a little bit too loud. And I don't personally like that. But I mean, that's just being really nitpicky. That's really just being nitpicky and being very, very just caring about it. To be perfectly honest, you know. But USB microphones are always good to have, and it's multiple use cases. You can plug it into the computer, you can plug it into your phone, easy go. Some of the XLR microphones that I have on here that I was very interested in knowing the prices on some of these really shocked me though. I believe I'm trying to pull them up right now. I've already sung too much praise on the Samson, but like I said, it's really hard to beat a $38 microphone. That's an XLR microphone that sounds really good and comes with a carrying case. Really, it is hard to beat that. Then you got the Fifine dynamic microphone that they have for podcasting. It's $72.99. And I'm pretty sure that's both. Yeah, it's both XLR and USB. A lot of these microphones are starting to have both XLR and USB made into it, especially Shure microphones, especially the Shure SM7. Anyway, I hope you have a good stream. Bye bye. Noel, you have a great rest of your day. Try to take it easy. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great rest of your day. But the Shure SMV7 is a Shure microphone that both has XLR and USB in it. So a lot of them are starting to have that built into them. And it's very, very interesting. I don't know if this is going to be in the future, but it is what it is. Hard to predict the future. I'm just showing everybody the options that we have for right now. If anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to ask any. If you want to know opinions on any microphones, don't be afraid to ask. This is very open time to talk about it. I don't mind answering questions. This isn't just me giving you guys like a lecture or anything or trying to talk down to you. I want to have an open discussion about this sort of stuff as well, because that's how you learn about things. I want to teach you guys a little bit more about audio and how things work. Like for instance, most XLR microphones have these things called that is required for these microphones to be powered called phantom power. Sounds fancy. Basically, it just means a little bit of electricity has to go into the microphone for it to be powered. Confusing, I know. I don't know how much of this I'm gonna just listening along. Gotcha. Passing cat loaf. Yeah, how can I help you? Go ahead and post your question up. I don't mind to answer. I'm also looking at Twitch chat as well, Blank. So anybody that's here on AniLive, I'm just letting you know what I'm referring to whenever I'm talking to Twitch chat and you don't see the chat down here. But normally, you know, there are a lot of things that are needed for audio setups for everybody's different use cases. And it's very interesting to see what people come up with and the setups that people choose to come up with. How about condenser versus dynamic? Okay. Condenser versus dynamic. The use cases for these condenser microphones are normally better at picking up more quality in your voice for like singing, for voice acting. That's what a lot of condenser microphones are. Dynamic microphones are more like these are live performance microphones, podcast microphones as well. They can do singing. I'm not saying they can't. If the environment was usually very noisy, would dynamic be better? It would be better. It would be better if okay. So if you have a dynamic microphone, what a dynamic versus condenser means it's capturing from a capsule. I believe they both capture from capsules. It doesn't really matter, but condensers are more sensitive to your voice, picks up more quality in it. Dynamic microphones just picks up the audio that shoots into it. That is the most distinguished part of it. So if you talk into a dynamic microphone, it's going to be like very closed off. You're not going to hear as much echo in your room if you have a more echoey room, or say you have some background noise in the background. Dynamic microphones can help this, but it doesn't eliminate it completely. So I would say, Catloaf, it depends on how noisy your environment is, how noisy those sound signatures are, and if the microphone would pick that up. So if you have like like a little bit of background noise, dynamic microphones can normally cancel that out very easily. Now, if you have somebody screaming in the next room over, like on the top of their lungs, more than likely it's not going to help out just because dynamic microphones are still, at the end of the day, microphones, and they will still pick up that audio quality in some sort of way. So that's my answer on that. It just kind of depends on your environment. But in my personal opinion, I always consider condenser microphones to be better. Even though the microphone that would be my dream microphone is a dynamic one, so I don't really know how much you should take my word on that. My dream microphone is, like I said, I'm very basic, so it would be a Shure SM7B. I know, basic, but it's like a dream microphone. I feel like I would make it if I ended up having it at some point. But condenser microphones normally pick up more quality, and I normally make music as well, and I do make videos once in a while. So I always like having that little extra quality behind it rather than having a dynamic microphone, which just focuses just on your mids and highs, which I will get into that as well, which just talks about your talking voice and only captures that compared to the rest of the environment around you. Just because you don't want to lose a lot of quality when it comes to that sort of stuff. And that's my use cases for it. But definitely, if you're just doing YouTube shorts, playing video games, other stuff like that, sometimes it's good for music. I mean, it just depends on how you're using the microphone as well. A dynamic microphone is a better case, but you know, it's hard to tell because I can't physically be in the room with you guys when we're talking about this audio equipment shit. Double Stuff Oreo, hello, hello, welcome to join into stream, talking about microphones and stuff. How are you doing today? Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, but hello, hello. But basically the difference between them isn't really too drastic other than maybe some high end changes. And what I mean by that is this is going to be extra stuff. Doing good. Looking forward to learning about mics. I went through a lot of the mic stuff already, but I'll keep on going because I still have stuff to talk about microphones as well. So microphones have these signatures that they pick up on. It's all based off of a scale, and you normally see like vocal patterns. You'll see like line graphs and shit to show the different types of stuff that it picks up vocally, what it's the best at picking up. They have these graphs that come with a lot of these microphones. Those are like sound signatures. Those are what they pick up from recording a lot at their best. So from left to right, basically, it would be the left side of it. If you're looking at it, oh man, it's really hard to explain this. Basically, the left, all the way from the left would be the low end, all the way to the right would be the high end. So the low end is bass, is the that type of noise, like the bassier hit, those sound signatures. And then as you get further along the line graph, it's the mids. The mids are the sort of just like this. It would just sound like this if you had just mids. Just because this is what it sounds like. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but I put my hand over my mouth. But basically, it just picks up on just your talking voice, and then the high ends are more of your like squeals, your screeches. If you have a higher pitched voice, your octave is going to be a little bit louder, so it picks up a little bit more detail in your higher ends. Microphones, every microphone has different sound signatures and different things that it picks up on. So it's always good to look at that as well before you buy a microphone as well. But that's if you want to be really picky with your microphone you want to get. Some people are just happy to just have a microphone and be like, oh, it's working. So it just depends on how far in the rabbit hole you want to go into microphone wise. But it's a pretty, for me, I like learning about it because it's very interesting, and I always like fiddling with the actual hardware of the equipment itself as well. For example, I believe the Shure SM7B is really good at mids and low ends, so it's better for bassier voices. So, and I'm not saying these can't be fixed in post production as well. A lot of these can be fixed in post production. But the idea is to get a microphone that is more closer to your personal voice signature, so that way you don't have to mess around in audio settings, play with that shit forever, and then end up banging your head against the wall at 3 o'clock in the morning because you can't get your audio sounding right. I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick. Okay. So, the reason why you want one closest to your sound signature is because the more closer it is to your personal voice, the least amount of editing you'll have to do with your audio if you're doing vocal editing to it, if you're doing voice acting, if you're doing music, you got to do a lot of processing to your voice. You got to do a lot of processing in voice acting because sometimes maybe you're doing a scene where you're in a hallway or something like that. You got to put a reverb in it. You got to mix and master stuff. You got to have EQs to fix up certain areas of your voice sometimes. And EQs are basically, that low end, mid, and high end. It messes with those. So you could change them in post production. But the issue being when you do mess with it, it doesn't stay on your microphone for the rest of its life. The microphone's not going to remember it. It's not going to have a memory. It's not going to be like, oh, yes, you want this sound right now. You will always have to do that same type of processing every single time for it. That's why it's always best to get a microphone that's closest to your voice. So that way you don't have to fiddle with it. You don't have to mess with it. It's as close as it can be, and you have to do very minimal changes to your voice. That was the main reason why I chose the microphone that I have now, which is the Lewitt 440 Pure, because it was the best for my audio signature, because it picks up the mid end the best, picks up the high ends at very high quality, and the bassier voices are normally not the worst as well. It's an overall microphone that I end up like going back to, and I personally haven't had a single issue with the microphone. That's the reason why I got it. Now, it could be different for anybody else's. Like the Rode NT1, that one's a very decent microphone. I personally think it's a little bit overpriced. Normally, let me actually search up the price for it right now. I'm pretty sure they're a little bit pricier. The Rode NT1. I'm searching. Rode NT1. Yep, a Rode NT1 is going to, depending on where you get it, is going to either range you about $150 to $249, depending on what you get, if it's used, what color you get, different type of stuff. Rode NT1 is a very expensive microphone. It's I mean, I'm not one to talk. My microphone's very kind of expensive too, if we're talking about grand scheme of things. But if you think that that's expensive, recording equipment wise, I'm trying to remember. Sony makes very expensive microphones, and if you think in audio world, $200 sounds pretty expensive, right? 270, pretty expensive. $599 for a Shure SM7B. Oh, maybe that's breaking your wallet, because I know it is for me as a normal casual person. Let me give you an idea of somebody else who's a content creator. Connor has this. I'm trying to remember the name of the brand here because it's the microphones are just way too pricey. Connor, which is Sea Dog VA, the Connor Dog boy, the guy who does all the cyclothons. That dude, he has, I think he made a video about it too. It's like a car payment, guys. It's literally the price of a car. His microphone is, and I'm not even joking when it comes to that. Microphones, condenser microphones. It's a $10,000 microphone, I believe, that Sea Dog has. And I'm not even, it's a Neumann microphone. That's what it is. It's a Neumann. I'm trying to think. It's either a $2,000 or $1,000 microphone. Yeah, I think okay. It's the TLM 103. It is $1,195. Because I remember in one of his videos from a long time ago, that's what he spent for it. But yeah, if you think that $500, $600 is expensive, $1,000 is really expensive. The Neumann microphones have microphones that are $10,000. Sony has microphones that are $4,000. It's crazy. Then again, they have different use cases and different ways, that they utilize them, like for recording booths and studios and stuff where it needs to be as good as it possibly can be. It just really depends on your use case for it. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Let me look at microphones that are $2,000 to $3,000 range right now. Okay, so yeah, because I'm looking at microphones right now. UAD, which is Universal Audio Bach, is Universal Audio Bach 167 large diaphragm tubed condenser microphone is $2,999. Like I said, price variance for every and when you get to that price point, the difference in quality is very minuscule. The audio that you can get from a $600 microphone is just going to be a little bit not as good as those $2,000, those $4,000 microphones. It gets to a point where does the little bit of audio quality sounding a little bit better justify the cost of you paying that price for it? 9 times out of 10, it's not. 9 times out of 10, it is not. But there are some use cases that those are needed for. I, on the other hand, don't feel like spending $2,000 or $3,000 on a microphone because honestly, my wallets are already crying the way they are. I don't know about you guys. I'm not down for that. I'm not living for that. Nope. I'm not paying. I'm not. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. $2,500 for a microphone. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. That's way too expensive. Rich for my blood. That is an entire car, sir. You can buy. There is a car that is called an Pontiac Aztec that is like normally $600 or $700, right? You could buy 2 or 3 of those, and it would still be a price of one microphone. It is a fucking car. don't don't let that misconstrued in your mind. It is a functioning car. I'd rather get another car. That's what I'm saying. Now, I think the sweet point for anybody that's just starting off with audio and microphones in general, if you're thinking about what type of budget you should have for it, I would never, if you're wanting to actually like try getting into it, I would never get over $200. And I would even be conservative at $200. I would try to see if you would like audio equipment at the $100 price point or $150 price point rather than the 200 price point. Because at least, you know, because once you get to 200, your mind will justify, oh, well, I could spend a couple more dollars for something more. Like, that'll be a little bit better. No, you need to be conservative when it comes to this. If you're just starting out, always do a test sample first. You don't buy a new product from a menu and eat it just as, and then not eat the rest of it because it turns out you didn't like the whole thing. Sometimes you ask somebody else, hey, can I have a bite of your food? And then you realize that you like it that way. That's the best way to do it. Try a little sample first before you go into a whole thing. For me, when I first got into audio, I had a live performance microphone that I bought out of pocket that was a Shure PG48. It was a live performance dynamic microphone. A PG48 is not a bad microphone. It's not the best microphone. It gets you started off where you need to go. My next microphone that I had after that was an MXL 990, which is a condenser microphone. The condenser microphone is really decent. It's good at what it does, picks up voices pretty well. And honestly, I think it's more comparable to a podcast mic recording wise than anything else. So it's really weird, the MXL is. And then I had the Samson CO1 because I thought And this is why it's very important. Okay. This is why it's very important because I've made these mistakes and I don't want you guys to make these same mistakes as well. I had my MXL 990. It is a condenser microphone. It's a very decent microphone, and I thought it broke at one point. So I went to a audio store, a music store. It's just a music store. I went to the music store and I bought myself not just not just anything. I bought myself the Samson CO1 from there. I bought the Samson CO1 because I thought my microphone was dead. I brought the Samson CO1 back to where I lived at the time. I plugged it in and it wasn't working. Well, it just so happened that I also bought an $8 XLR cable with me. Turns out I didn't need a new microphone and it was the XLR cable that went bad. So I paid $60 for a microphone that I didn't really need to buy because it was an XLR cable incident. This is why it's very important to look at your equipment. Test everything whenever you have the chance because those little mistakes could cost you a lot of money. And here's another example of how I lost money as well. There's this thing called a cloud lifter. A cloud lifter acts as another middleman between your microphone and your audio interface. As I said before, how it works is you would plug your microphone into the cloud lifter. The cloud lifter has another XLR port at the end of it, so you need two XLR cables for it. So you would plug that XLR cable into it, and then plug the cable into your audio interface. Why would you do this? Because dynamic microphones have the tendency, depending on the dynamic microphone you get, to be very low. So instead of it sounding normal, it would sound very quiet, not loud enough, pretty much. And so the cloud lifter lifts up your volume to where you don't have to do any gain to it, makes it very crisp and clear for dynamic microphones. I had a condenser microphone and I bought it. I thought it was going to work, and then I realized that it wasn't going to work because the microphone that I had was a condenser microphone. A cloud lifter is $150 to $200. Do not buy something before you do the research on it. It's a cautionary tale, and I'm saying this because as much as I like audio equipment, you shouldn't buy things just out of, oh, I might use it one of these days. You shouldn't go into it. You should buy audio equipment that you know that you're going to use and that you're going to have immediately used. Because that cloud lifter at this very moment is the most expensive paperweight I've ever bought in my entire life. Keep that in mind. And I'm using a condenser microphone right now. Find the use case scenario that you want to use for your microphones. Make sure it's what you want. Do the research that you need. There's a whole bunch of other little stuff that you can look into as well to go further down the audio rabbit hole. There are a lot of things that you could do research on. And I could do more streams like this in the future if I really planned on to, but this is just a general introduction to it. These are just things that a lot of people don't know right out of the get-go. Audio interfaces don't have to be expensive. Choose one that's going to be the best for your use case scenario. If you're even going to use a XLR microphone, use something that is going to be the best for you. Keep that in mind constantly. Do your due diligence. Look at reviews. See if the audio quality of the recordings of those microphones are exactly what you need it to be. Because at the end of the day, if you don't like the microphone that you bought and you have to return it, and you didn't do research on it, that's going to really bite you at the end of it. And you don't need something complicated if you're just going to do streaming. You could have the same interaction as somebody on a phone, because that's the audio that I'm using to talk to you guys right now, as you can with somebody with a $300 or $400 microphone. if you're going to do it for live streaming. If you have other use cases for the microphone and you want to get that $300 microphone, if you want to get that $60 microphone or whatever kind of setup that you want to get to do music and do the other use cases for it, that's completely fine. But make sure you do your research for those that audio equipment that you want to get before you decide to get it. Because like I said, and I keep repeating myself, I'm going to keep on sounding like a broken record. I don't want you guys to fall in that hole. I don't want you guys to make that mistake, especially as somebody that has made that mistake on multiple occasions. That's the last thing that you want to be, is to put yourself into that position. Oh, that was a mouthful. That was a very big mouthful for that. But yeah, thank you for the clap, Mina. Thank you. But yeah, definitely. It just depends on your use case for basically anything. USB microphones are definitely a viable option. Not getting one and just using your phone audio is a very viable option. If you're planning on doing desktop streaming, if you want to get an XLR, if you want to get a USB, I mean, again, it just depends on your environment, all these different variables. That's very hard to talk about over, over a stream, over online, talking to you guys back and forth. Because I'll be honest, I don't know what your guys' setup is, but it just happens, you know. Sometimes you got to figure out solutions for different things. Maybe your room's a little bit noisy, and a dynamic microphone's the best way to go about it. Even if it is XLR, go for that. Go for it. Use it so that way your recordings could be amazing. You have a podcast, set it up for a dynamic microphone if that's going to be the better use case for it. But don't buy something just because you think you might need it. Buy something like that because you know you're going to need it. But that's pretty much where I'm going to end today's lesson. So we could just chill and talk right now. Talk about life and stuff for a little bit. But I'll probably be talking for another couple minutes, but you know, that's pretty much all that I had planned to talk about for right now. The reason why I want to turn this into a YouTube video is because so many people want to become a YouTuber. So many people want to become a VTuber. Some people want to do content creation. Some people want to be V singers. They want to have all these aspirations, and they need equipment for it. Sometimes they don't get the right equipment. Thanks for the lesson. Yeah, no problem. And I think it's very important to have resources around you, to have this knowledge readily available for you, and to have a support to be like, oh yeah, this and this is what I need because I've learned it from looking at these resources. And I know a lot of what I said was boring. Don't even get me wrong. This is probably gonna be like one of the worst streams received that I'm gonna do because it's so boring. But for some of you, it's not boring. And for those people that do want to watch it and who are interested in it, this is a very cautionary tale. This gives you information. This gives you roundabout ways of thinking about stuff. Just make sure you keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you so much for letting me talk about my nerd shit about audio equipment, giving you guys this lesson. I've never really been the best teacher in the whole world. I don't know about mics, so I was just listening and learning. Thank you. Yeah, no problem, Lily. There's nothing wrong with learning something new and not knowing about something. But I appreciate you guys like listening. I appreciate everybody that's decided to be here. 'Cause every moment of your life is very precious, and to spend that watching me and talking and just hearing me talk about the super stuff I'm interested in means a lot to me. So thank you. I feel like I've got this out of my system now. I'm now probably going to turn this into a YouTube video so that way I'm able to condense it down a little bit better. Because that was a lot of information that I just spewed. But I love you guys. Make sure you take care of everybody that's around you. Let them know that they're loved and that you care about them. And remember to have yourselves an amazing rest of your day because you deserve to have it. All right? Peace out.